This is Dr. Umar Johnson. Now, many would think that from some of the videos that we've shown on Blerd Planet that we are not fans of Dr. Umar Johnson. That actually is quite the opposite. We actually wish that Dr. Umar Johnson would be able to open a school because it's going to be uplifting. It's going to be uplifting to the people. And if anything, we know our black boys need it. I think that Dr. Umar, he needs to reach out to the people now. He needs to be honest and upfront. He needs to tell the truth. We will help him with the school. Just be upfront and tell us what's going on, man. So here you go. This is actually Dr. Umar Johnson speaking on, it was on January 21st, where he spoke on the state of Black America in 2019. He announced that in February 14th, he is going to be announcing the location of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy for Boys. So we wish nothing but the best for Dr. Umar, because when he does well, we do well. Enjoy.
Black men, and I think someone said to me once, well, black officers in law enforcement should know better because they're trained. This is not something they should do. But something that goes overlooked, I believe, in the community, we don't talk enough about when black men are killing other black men. Where's the protest for that? Where's the Black Lives Matter at?
Is that the white man's fault?
I agree. Excellent question. Let's deal with this. Black on black crime. Couple facts right from the gate. Let's deal with those police officers.
Okay.
Some people would say you cannot blame white folks for this because black men did it. But they did it in the name of white supremacy. Yes. It's not the individual's right to choose. It's the institution that dictates behavior. Why does a black teacher in the public school send your child to special ed when nothing was wrong with them? Are white folks off the hook? Hell no, because it was white folks who created the culture. It was white folks who created the system. It was white folks who created the atmosphere. So the black cop that shoots a black man is carrying out the orders of the white power structure. Deal with the institution, not the individuals. Now, black on black crime, a big problem. We should be protesting that. That is a major contradiction in the black struggle. However, we must clarify a few things. Most black on black crime, as someone who works in the prisons, okay, works with black males, most of it is politically and economically generated. Let's go back 80 years. Who was the drug dealers and the gangsters? Italians, Irish, Jews. Right here in South Philly, they was gang banging, killing each other, selling dope. Meyer Lansky wasn't an African. Bugsy Siegel wasn't an African. Lucky Luciano wasn't an African. Al Capone wasn't an African. They did the same thing our boys are doing. You know what the difference is? The United States government in 1940 decided to make Irish, Jews, and Italians white folks. Before 1940, they were not white folks. And then guess what they did after they made them white? And guess what they did after they made them white? Well, you had other immigrants, but they were still whites because they were Anglo-Saxons. What they did was they gave the Irish the police departments. They gave the Italians the fire departments. And they gave the Jews the civil service, center city jobs, city hall that they still control to this day. And the courts, they gave them an economic stimulus package. You want to stop black on black crime? You can cut at least 40% of it out overnight. Give these brothers who are fighting and killing each other over turf territory and drugs a livable wage job with benefits so they can raise their children. Whenever we have conversations on black crime, why we never hear anything about economic opportunity? They never talk economics when they talk black men. It's all about, we gotta create more prisons, and maybe we're not tough enough on crime, or maybe they need some help, maybe they need some therapy. We don't give a damn about no band-aids. We want a solution, and the solution is economic empowerment. What's the first job of a man? To protect and provide. The protect part, we can do better on that, but some of us can do that. But to be able to provide, that's where black men are hurting, because a lot of us are not given that opportunity to provide for our families. That creates the stress that indirectly leads to the murder. Let me give you an example. He's in a Chinese store tonight. I just got fired from my job. I just got fired after 30 years. They laid me off. I walk into the Chinese store. He look at me the wrong way. What the F you looking at? Guess what? He ain't got a job looking for one. He mad at the same thing I'm mad at. 3 babies, 3 child supports, whatever the case is. We get into a fight, I kill him. The headlines will say another black man murdered a black man in South Philly in the Chinese store, probably fighting over a blunt. They don't know the real reason we got into that scuffle is because both of us are suffering the same oppression, economic castration.
Yes. Well, how do we make it better though? Because
I'll tell you how you make it better.
We're in 2019 now, and
problems don't change just because the time is rolling, brother.
You're right. You're right. But I'm seeing homes in this area that I can't even afford.
Oh.
And I see that
black bourgeoisie has aided the Caucasian in removing blacks out of all the major inner cities in America. It ain't just Philly. Mm-hmm. They doing it in Harlem, D.C. You can go to certain cities now. They even starting to work on Atlanta, believe it or not, Black Chocolate City. Okay, it was D.C., now it's Atlanta. But this was a national movement. Guess when they decided to do it? Y2K. It was in the year 2000 that they decided that they was going to go back to the inner cities and take them back. And why did they want to come back to the inner cities in the first place? They never wanted to leave. Right. Why did white folks run away from the inner city? Because after the Dr. King era, integration, housing and urban development, they had to let us in. So white folks ran to the suburbs because part of the burden of being white is always looking like you're better than black folks. So they had to run away to live their own private life. And then guess what the black bourgeoisie did? Followed the white folks out to, because we love white folks. So they said, if these Negroes love us this much, that no matter where we go, they going to follow us, we might as well go to hell back home. And that's why when a lot of white people moved out in the 60s, they never sold their property. They just became landlords, but they never relinquished their control because they knew one day they were going to come back home. Listen, don't no white person want to sit in traffic for 90 minutes going to an Eagles game. Don't no white person want to sit in traffic for 2 hours going to a Sixers game. It is convenient to live Susquehanna Avenue. Yes. It is convenient to live on Girard Avenue. It is convenient to live on Allegheny Avenue. 3 stops from downtown, 8 stops from the sports complex. White folks is like, we paying all this money to live in the suburbs. And it's so inconvenient to get to the culture of Philadelphia and to the sports complex. So they said, why don't we swap? Right. So that's why Donald Trump put the coon from Baltimore, housing and urban development. Oh, Ben Carson. Ben Coon Carson. I called him that. I called him that. I said it. Ben, I'm calling that. He's a coon. Listen. No. We let it quit. No. All hell to Queen. No. We're not getting
talking about as it relates to Ben Carson. Has he sold out?
Of course. Yes. Listen, Donald Trump put Ben Carson in charge of housing and urban development so that he could facilitate. Yes, but that also makes Barack Obama a coon.
He's a coon.
But
he sold us out.
But that also there's a name. Coons are coons. How you going to change it if you can't? You can't change it if you can't claim it. One of the things we got to stop doing is being afraid to be unapologetic about our reality. We are in a desperation state. This is a state of emergency. We ain't got time to be worried about nobody's feelings. I can give a damn what a Negro think about me. Shame the devil and tell the truth. Shame the devil and call it. We love you, Queen. You know we love you, Queen. We got the Queen in the building. We're going to love you anyway. See, part of being a black man, I got to put you on a pedestal even if you say don't do it.
That's right. No, I'm on a pedestal.
What we're going to do, we're going to take a break, a much needed break, so everybody can stretch their legs and get some water. You're listening and watching Acres of Diamonds. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
The Insurance Masters is your trusted source for the best insurance. Auto, home,
Ben Carson is a coon.
Life and health.
But if he's a coon, so is Obama. They both did the same thing. What's the difference between Barack Obama and Clarence Thomas? Nothing. And Ben Carson, Condoleezza, nothing.
Let's come back and let's touch on the.
We still ain't do school to prison pipeline.
That's what I want to come back.
Let's deal with special ed and ADHD in Philadelphia. We ain't got to spend a lot of time on it, but let's hit it, and we can go wherever else. But hit that because you got parents. Ain't no daddy at home disorder. Artificial diet at home disorder. What's bull crap? What's bull crap? I got the receipts.
Anybody need water? Anybody
What
need
I'm
water?
saying is I know because we work with children with ADHD, and we're like,
Well, you a foster parent. Y'all got it really hard.
We're giving them
Because it's hard for foster parents to say no.
All they need is just to be turned around.
Yes.
And just
Go right out that
Exactly.
door and make.
And that's why I'm opening the school. I agree with you.
Yeah, where you
You're
at?
absolutely right.
You got a lot of haters in that school situation.
Well, but see, that's only because the haters get the attention. For every hater I got a million supporters.
Oh, I know what I'm
They
saying.
irrelevant.
I ain't even saying.
And that's why none of them allowed in the school when it opens anyway. You coons ain't coming in. I'm going to have a whole hater list.
You just seem like you got this. You got this. This is
What?
drove me crazy
Talk
about
to
you
me.
when I first saw your stuff. I'm like, you got this separatist.
It ain't separatist.
togetherness.
It's righteousness. Righteousness.
Righteous, brother.
What did Jesus say? Did Jesus say he came for everybody? He said, I came for those in the house of Israel.
He did.
Ain't nobody trying to say. Did Moses save everybody? No. Moses say the Negroes and all.
I get it. I get
You
it.
feel me?
I know. I get it.
But let
I
me
don't
tell you
get it,
this
but
though.
get it.
I
get
got
what you mean.
there's members of the LBGT who support my work. Oh my gosh, they send me emails and everything. They say,
Those
listen,
the ones
Doc.
that said I was raped and that's how I got this honey.
But not only that, they'll say, listen, Doc, I never heard you say you wanted to bring harm to me. I never heard you say you wanted to stop me from living or being. You understand?
Right. Yeah.
And they'll even say, I agree with you.
You should say that.
This should not be
You should
system.
say that.
Well,
You should
when
say
the
that.
time is right, because I'm gonna have a gay black forum.
I knew it. I knew
What?
it. You should say that, sir.
I do say it sometimes.
Because you got people.
But they can't say it in the out because they don't want to get lynched by the
Let's
LBGT.
get ready to come back.
No, I say it a lot though.
That is true.
What up, Troy? Bring it back here.
Oh.
But I'ma have a gay black
They don't
conversation.
want me to be passionate. I'm not a friend. I've been like
Passion
this
is
since I
spirit.
was
You
born.
gotta be passionate.
I was like this. I don't.
Be passionate. Let it out.
Jihad, once you talk about that, can you talk about the court system too? With,
Oh,
that's
man.
what you were, the juvenile court system.
Oh man.
As far as
Oh man.
these kids being sent to.
Talk about it. Bring it up.
I'm saying,
So you know what? Yeah. Let's do school to prison. Then we can segue. However y'all want to
Good
segue.
evening, and welcome back to Acres of Diamonds.
fire.
With Howard. We just changed the name. The name was Acres of Fire.
Acres of fire. I'm a Leo. This is a lion talking to you. This Garvey.
Well, wait a minute. When your birthday?
August 21st, the same day as Nat Turner.
That's why.
Same day as the George Jackson. Same day as the Haitian Revolution. Same day as the birth of Christ. 8 Deuce 1.
Listen, a lot of people are inboxing me and they're putting
What?
they're putting posts on Facebook Live, and they're saying that we need to touch more, not globally, and what's happening in
locally.
We need to talk about locally. We need
School
to
to
talk about
prison.
a lot of the problems that's taking place in here. Somebody just put up. We're not laughing about any of the killings.
Nah, we ain't laughing.
And there.
Nah, it's serious stuff.
In this room, you have 3 people that are involved in law enforcement. So we see it on a total different level.
Yes.
We may not be out there on the forefront marching, and I've done some marching throughout the years, but I don't want anybody to think that we're laughing with jokes. This is a very serious.
Nah, this is serious.
conversation.
Nobody, no.
And we felt the need to bring some humor into the room.
Yes, which is
because
necessary to change the energy.
Change the energy,
You have
okay?
to have humor.
So we're very concerned about the. Okay, callers, we're going to get to you. I know we got calls. We're very concerned about what's happening in the streets. We're very concerned about in the street. You are out on the front line. You have thousands and thousands of fans on social media.
Supporters. I'm not an entertainer.
You have a platform that many of us in this room do not have. And what advice can you give? Because there are shootings and there are young people that are listening, that are watching tonight. We had a young brother that was from the Islamic community that was just killed, shot in the face up in Albany. I knew another young brother that was killed senselessly, murdered. Very good friend. I watched him grow up. I watched his family raise him. Never got in any trouble that I knew of. We just buried this young brother. We just literally buried him this past summer. So, what can we say?
So we know systematically with the economics and the politics of crime, we know that when jobs are up, crime is down. When jobs are down, crime is up. But now you're saying, let's look at the black community. I'll roll in this. And I'll tell you what it is, very emphatically. Black men have allowed the youth to break code in the community. I have never seen this. Black men, those of us 40 and over, 30s too, but more so 40 and over, because they clearly recognize us as the OGs. We have allowed our sons and nephews and cousins and next door neighbors to get so far out of hand with this violence that we now afraid of them. I want to be clear about something. As long as the youth know that the elders are scared of them, this won't stop. And I want to state this very, very decisively. Globally, Philly, wherever you at, because it's global, whatever you see in Philly, you see around the world. It's a Pan-African issue. But nonetheless, until black men take the streets back, it will always remain the Wild Wild West. We have to literally go to the streets in droves and say, brothers, it's a new day. Hand out a new paper. These are the new rules. It's a phone number. Somebody threaten you, call this number. You know what I mean? Somebody, gang violence, you call this number. And we got brothers who ain't funded by white folks. White folks ain't got nothing to do with this. This is grassroots black men solving their own issues. And if we take the streets back, we can end this in 6 months.
Can we take
Yes, we can.
Can we as a people,
but here's the problem.
Collectively?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Here's the problem. You got two issues with taking the streets back. There's a lot of people who make money by pimping black pain in poverty projects. Right. You understand? Right. Black poverty is a $1 billion industry. Yes. If you solve the black on black crime, a lot of people going to be out of work. Yes. You know how many prisons will shut down if we stop the violence? You know how many probation officers would be out of jobs? How many halfway houses wouldn't exist? You know how many federal grant dollars would be discontinued if we stop this? Why you think when the Black Panther Party of the 60s intervened directly in the cocaine epidemic, guess who they had to fight the most? The police. For stopping the drugs. The Panthers had to fight the cops because the job of the police is not to stop drug dealing, but to contain it so it doesn't go into neighborhoods where it's not wanted. So we can't jive ourselves on this. The white power structure is counting on the violence to continue because it justifies the marginalization and premature extermination of black males. But let me say this last point. Go ahead. Like with my conversation with the Queen, everybody's not coming for the party. I'm saying that to say this. I've never taken a life, God forbid. I hope I never have to. But if we're going to take them streets back, we got to admit something. I'm talking as a psychologist. Some of our young men, we've let them go so far for so long, they're no good to no damn body. There's people walking these streets where we're going to have to put to sleep. In other words, you might have to create violence to end it. It will be a cataclysmic altercation between black men and some of our youth. Most of our youth, we can get them. But there's some of them, they ain't going without a fight, and they're going to have to be put to bed. It's a shame. It ain't their fault. You understand? But you have a population of unreachables. The white man wants us to think they all unreachables. 90% are reachable. 10%, we will have to have a civil war with them, and that's facts. Don't give your guns back. Buy some more.
So you're saying that the black Christians, the black Muslims, the Nation of Islam, the Sunnis, the black Israelites,
everybody,
there has to be a collective agenda to come together to approach these guys out on the street.
Yes.
That
face to face. Yes. There's no masculinity involved. It's all conversations in the safety of these rooms. How are we going to stop the violence? Then you got to get in their face. You see what I'm saying? So yes, there got to be a collective and we got to go to the streets, and I'm all for that. It's the only way to do it. Make sure you got the right folks, because some of us are only going to be here to let the other side know what we're doing. Like I said, some of us are so far gone, we're going to have to be put to sleep.
I think, too, in doing so, on that point, Dr. Umar, I think I'm with you on your point. But I also think there has to be a collective effort in conjunction with that to supply our youth
with opportunities. Opportunity. Yes, my brother. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Yes.
They want to work.
Yes.
They want to support.
Give them a chance. Nah, they good dudes. Listen,
you know what I mean?
You know how many emails I got from brothers who say, Doc, listen, I got 5 kids. but I work for minimum wage.
Right.
I just don't want to go to the corner.
Right.
But if I come into the house one more time and see my queen and my 5 babies and I ain't got nothing for them, I'm going to have to go to the corner. And that's why when they talk about this violence and stuff, it ain't because we born this way.
Right.
It's created out of the social constructs under which we live.
Yes.
You can make a violent community out of anybody. They did it to the Irish. They did it to the Italians. They did it to the Jews. They even did it to the Chinese at once a point in time. But here's where the black community is complicit, man. Look what Philadelphia spends on Christmas.
Right.
Black Philly spends $3 billion.
Right.
Not million, but billion every Christmas. With that type of money, you could give every brother a job.
Yes.
Why our kids ain't got our own schools? Used to have Frederick Douglass Hospital right there on Lombard Street. Black-owned hospital in Philly, Frederick Douglass. No more black hospitals in Philly. We used to have 2.
Right.
We ain't got no factories. We ain't got no distribution. Where the hell is our Walmart? Because we damn sure don't need theirs.
Right.
You see, so we have to be willing to become more responsible with our economics. And we have to be willing to put our people before our own personal, useless, agendas.
Can you speak to the black politics in conjunction with that? Because we got a lot of people, black people in politics.
Oh, they're useless. They're useless.
Speak to that.
They're useless. They're useless. Listen.
I agree with that.
I respect everybody in Philadelphia City Hall, but let's just be honest. The blacks who currently occupy that have done nothing systematically to improve the quality of life of black folks in Philadelphia. Now, Jahid spoke earlier about, being in law enforcement and seeing this on a whole nother level. People often ask me, what do you want the black bourgeoisie to do for you? Because we can't do everything. Yes, we sold out. Yes, we there. But guess what? If we try to pull away from it, they'll kill us. So, Dr. Umar, what can the black bourgeoisie do to help? We can't be on the front lines with you, brother, but I want to do something because I don't want to die having been a total coon my whole life. You know what the black bourgeoisie can do? Provide us with the information. You ain't got to do nothing. If he let me know what they about to do, that's far more powerful than him being on the front lines with me. You understand? If Council President Clark say, listen, Dr. Umar, they're about to take these blocks back. Get the black people together. Tell them to buy as much of them houses as they can because the white folks is coming. That's all I need them to do. They ain't got to be out front with the Nat Turner hoodie. Let me know what my enemy's next steps are so we can plan and prevent them from taking that. The problem with the black bourgeoisie, they not giving us the intelligence. The white man has a spy in every black organization. Why? To bring back the intelligence. The art of war is knowing what your enemy going to do before he do it and taking care of that before he get there. We have nobody amongst the black intelligentsia feeding the grassroots with information as it relates to the white man's agenda. Listen, the real estate takeover, that was planned 10 years before they started it. Not a single black politician made a move. And speaking of black politicians, I don't vote for no black politician unless they can answer 3 questions. Question number 1, are you an independent candidate? If you're Democrat, you're Republican, I don't vote for you at all. Why? Because if you're Democrat or Republican, you're first of all obligated to the agenda of the Democratic and Republican Party, 2 white racist organizations who don't give a damn about black folks. Okay, that's number 1. So if you're not independent, you're not getting my vote because you're going to do whatever the Democrats tell you to do like a good old boy because they're the ones who funded your campaign, which is my next question. I want a complete list of your campaign funders.
Hold on for a second, caller.
Hold on, caller. Hold on. We're coming to you.
Complete list of your campaign funders. That's number 2, right? And then number 3, what are you going?
Do it again, because I was distracted.
Got you. So the first one, are you independent? I don't vote for Democrats and Republicans. You got to be independent because if you're not an independent candidate, you're not an independent thinker. Right. I want independent thinkers. I don't want no slaves to the Democrats and the Republicans. Number 2, give me a complete list of all your campaign funders. Anybody who has donated more than $5,000 to you, I need to know who they are because the hand that pays is the hand that rules. Number 3, what are you going to do to give black people a major share of the economic pie in the city of Philadelphia? City of Philadelphia does billions of dollars of business. This is a national treasure because this is where the white supremacist fathers created that damn Constitution. You understand? So much money comes in here. What are you doing to make sure we get our fair share of the economic pie of Philadelphia? Because if you ain't growing, not small black business, I don't want to hear a damn thing about no small black business. I want medium and large black businesses. What are you doing to grow them? And the last question I'm going to have for them, what are you doing to improve the schools and put more black men inside? Because the number one thing that black boys need in the school district of Philadelphia is black male teachers, black male principals. I'm not talking about no gym teachers, and I'm not talking about no lunchtime aides, no bus attendants, and no hallway monitors. They need to see black men as leaders. teachers and principals. And if you ain't got a black male plan for the school district, you don't get my vote.
Well, seeing that you mentioned school, let's talk about school. Let's talk about school, and let's also talk about the whole special education as it exists.
Yes.
I have a child, and throughout the years, they labeled him special ed.
What's his classification? Learning disability?
Learning disability, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And throughout the years, they gave him service, and some of the services that they gave, I was not happy with. So I found myself going back down to the school, showing my behind and telling them, I know what my rights are, and I know what you have to give him. And if you cannot provide it for him, you have to send him to another school on your dime.
That's right.
So they made the correction. Can you talk about how they entrap our kids and they give us this label of special education, and then they want to give us the medication?
Excellent point. Precursor to that, there's 6 cycles in the school to prison pipeline. 6 cycles of death, 6 stages of black male extermination. Miseducation. They deliberately miseducate the black boy from preschool to 3rd grade. It is not by accident. It's not because of poverty. It's not because of gangster rap. They do it on purpose. And the reason they do it on purpose is they have to make sure that the black boy can never challenge the white boy for political economic control. The black boy must fail. Then there's special ed, where they come with all these crazy labels. He's retarded. He's autistic. He's reading disabled. He's math disabled. He's mentally retarded. He's this. He's that. He's this. Most of these labels can't be proven, by the way. Let me be clear. You cannot prove a learning disability. Let me be clear. You cannot prove ADHD. Let me be clear. You cannot prove mild intellectual disability. No, you cannot. They are ideas. They are not facts. So then they special educate your kid with all these labels, and then they move on to psychiatric medication. Adderall, Concerta, Ritalin, Vyvanse, Strattera, which is nothing but synthesized cocaine. So then the question becomes, how is a society that says it got a war on drugs that's locking up black men by the millions for nonviolent drug sales, but you're giving the same dope that locked his daddy up to his son so he can sit still long enough to learn about Christopher Columbus? And then when the drugs don't kill your black boy's masculinity, because by the way, the enemy is masculinity. The enemy is being an unapologetically African alpha male. Let me say it again. America's #1 fear is not Al-Qaeda, and it's not the Taliban, and it's not the president of North Korea. America's #1 threat is the rising up of unapologetically African alpha males who ain't afraid to die for the liberation of their people. That's the #1 threat in this country. So then once the dope doesn't kill the black boy, then it's juvenile incarceration. And by the way, Philadelphia is one of the top cities in America for the incarceration of youth under the age of 21 years old. And guess what I was told? By a judge. This was a New Jersey judge, because I did my pre-doctoral internship in New Jersey. But guess what she told me? Philly, Jersey, it's all the same. She said, Dr. Umar, the #1 referral source for new juvenile cases is not the cops. It's the schools. She said the schools have passed the cops as the #1 source of new juvenile inmates. So when we say school to prison, I'm going to tell you why. Because when they brought the street cops into the schools. So your son gets into a fight. Before there was any street cops, guess what? He break it up, I break it up, 2-day suspension, after school, I might make y'all shake hands, right? But now you got a street cop in there. So now he can take jurisdiction over that fight and charge that boy with a crime. We should have never let the street cops into the public schools, because now they are criminalizing all the boys. You got kids walking around in handcuffs. I've seen it. Yes. Something small like that. I'll give you something else. You know how they set the concrete in the yard, and you know the kids like to take the stick and they play in it? Right. You might get a suspension for that, effacing school property. But if the street cop catch it, now you're doing damage to city property. You see? Now it becomes a felony offense almost where you're juvenile, but it can get you some time. So now that you got, so basically wherever you got street cops in the school, I want to be clear about this. The street cops take jurisdiction over the school principal. The street cop can tell the principal, that's mine now. So the principal is damn near a flunky and a servant in their own school as a result of the street cops.
Wow.
This is how bad it is. So when we say school to prison, we literally mean that. If a black boy can't read by the time he finishes the 5th grade, there's a 75% chance he will spend at least some of his adulthood in prison. Reading. 75% of special ed is reading. When you go into any prison, ask them brothers what level they can read on. It's less than the 5th grade. And some of them have diplomas. Wait a minute. You have a diploma, but you can't read. That means you were socially promoted every year through school just to get rid of you. And I'm going to tell you what the culprit is. Lazy parents and racist white teachers. Lazy black parents and racist white teachers. Until we deal with the lazy black parents and racist white teachers, we'll never fix this. It's both of their faults. They work together against the black male child.
So it's almost like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if you got a lazy parent and you got
a teacher who don't care.
You got the police in the school.
He's a lifetime criminal waiting to happen. He's a lifetime criminal waiting to happen. But to the parent, okay, here's where I want to implicate black males. Because as you know, Queen, most of our kids are raised by single moms.
That's right.
And every time something goes wrong with the kids, single moms, because they're doing a good enough job. They're doing the best they can. Where are the black men stepping up to help our single mothers raise these boys? I don't see enough Christians. I don't see enough Muslims. I don't see enough professionals. I don't see enough community-based groups. I was speaking with a reverend whose name I'm not going to call. I said, Rev, why your church ain't doing more to help the single moms with their sons? All them black men you got in your church, every one of them should have 2 boys they're responsible for, even if they got their own. You know what he said? We got to find some funding. What the hell you need money? And you supposed to be a servant of the Lord. You need money to help her with her son? Is that how bad we've gotten where we got to be paid? Where would we be if Harriet Tubman said, where my check at? Where would we be if Dr. King said, where my check at? Where would we be if Malcolm, Muhammad, Garvey, if any of them said, how much am I going to get paid for risking my life to save you Negroes? If Harriet Tubman was waiting for a paycheck, we'd still be in chains.
So what are some of the things that these parents need to know as it relates to special ed? Because there's a lot of labels. And a child just may not know, it might be dyslexic. Now they're saying special ed, you can't read.
Right.
So when I went to school, they gave you a label. You were
okay. I'm gonna run it off.
That was the only label.
The only label.
Right.
And you knew them because they was in a small class,
and they still are. The only difference is if they're in a charter school. Charter schools are not required to have self-contained special ed classes. So if your son is a learning disabled student in a charter school, instead of being self-contained, he's mainstreamed into the regular class. But I like the mainstreaming because most of the kids ain't got nothing wrong with them in the first place. But if they have a real disability, a real one, let's say your child is autistic and he's moderately intellectually delayed, he might need a separate class. So then the charter school ain't serving him because this is a boy who does need to be pulled out. So although I largely agree with the charter school approach to special ed, it doesn't work for kids with real problems. If your child is deaf, they need to be at the deaf school. If your child is blind, he need to be at the Overbrook School for the Blind. And I used to be the school psychologist there, as a matter of fact. But my point is, each child's supposed to be taken based on their individual case. But that's not what Philadelphia doing. That ain't what these charter schools is doing. These charter schools are saying, in order to save money, I'm putting them there. In order to save money, I'm putting them there. And that's why you can walk into an intellectually disabled class and see an autistic kid in there. Why is an autistic kid in a retarded class? He ain't retarded. You know why? They're banking that the black parent don't care enough about the kid to even visit the class to see that the child is misplaced, because if they separate him out, they got to pay a teacher just for that one kid, because you can't mix autism with that unless you can justify it. So what the school district of Philadelphia is doing, and charter schools, they're mixing disabilities to save money. And the only reason why they ain't been exposed is because most black parents could care less about it.
They don't know either.
Oh, a lot of them don't know. Well, let me say this. I'm glad y'all brought this up. 2 things. Number 1, another organization I have under the Team Pan-African umbrella is the National Independent Black Parent Association. I want everybody on the show to hear this. This is important. Whether you live in Philadelphia or wherever you live, everybody in Instagram and Facebook world, y'all need to know this. The next training will be in Philadelphia. And it's probably going to be at the African American United Fund building off of Broad and Susquehanna, across from the Uptown Theater. It's probably going to be in March. It's an invitation conference for everybody to come to get trained by me to lead a chapter of this much needed organization. This is a solution. Could you imagine what we could do in Philadelphia if every black parent was organized? You understand? Together, we could have jobs for our kids. And you know what else we need to do in Philadelphia and everywhere else? We need to force them to put the trade skill building programs back in the high schools. Where's the electric shop? Where's the carpentry? Where's the auto? Where's the welding? They took them out in the 70s. It was part of the war against black males. It was the deindustrialization of inner city. They took the trades out, and then they dropped the crack off in the 90s. And then Bill Clinton hit us with the crime bill in 1994. And then George Bush came with the faith-based initiative in 2000. And then Barack Obama came with the LBGT bomb in 2008. Every president keep on hitting us with another jab because, like you said, they use our hope and our emotion against us. Yes. Black people are so gullible to anybody who says we are for you. The only thing that's going to save black folks is black folks. And I want everybody to come to my conference because I want to build this organization. We've never organized black parents on a national level. We've never organized black parents on that. I want to do that and take them to the United States Department of Education and say, listen, we want teachers charged with crimes if they refer a kid for special ed who ain't got nothing wrong with him. We want the principal charged with a crime if he signs off on putting the kid in special ed for ADHD when he know nothing wrong with that boy. We got to make the educators responsible for the crimes that they commit, because if there was no crimes in the school, there'd never be none on the street. And then for any parent out there who needs to reach me, if you got an issue with your child and you need help, give them my number. You can text me, 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. You got any issue, IEP, mentally gifted, reading disability, autism, deafness, blindness, speech and language, I am your school psychologist. Hit Dr. Umar up. But this is why I'm building the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. I want a school where black boys come to school to learn one thing, power. Yes. How to get it and how to keep it and how to protect it. And we raising alpha males in there. Ain't gonna be no LBGT pills in there. Ain't gonna be no Me Too pills. We raising alpha males for our daughters. That's the purpose of the Frederick Douglass Marcus.
The conference that you're having, is there a fee for the conference? Yes,
they will have to register. They can go to drumarjohnson.com, DRUMAR Johnson.com, or they can text message me at 215-989-9858.
We got a call.
Sure.
Okay, let's try to jump to some of these calls.
Sure.
We have 12 minutes left.
Caller, you there?
Good evening. Welcome to the show. Please keep it nice and short and sweet. Good evening. Next. Yes, sir. Hey, how you doing? Hey, that was you? Hey, that's my man. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Give me a quick minute. A quick 30-second question for Dr. Umar.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
We love you. Much love.
Appreciate that. And one quick point before you hit that next caller. Again, we wanted to remind everybody that Thursday, February the 14th, 201st Earth Day of the great Frederick Douglass. I will be going live from Facebook and Instagram simultaneously to announce the location of the first of hopefully several Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academies. That's the 14th. 3 days later, on Sunday, February the 17th, I will be making my debut lecture in the Bronx, New York, Boogie Down Bronx. I've been all over New York City, but I've never been to the Bronx. Dr. Umar will be speaking in the Bronx at St. Helena's Church, 1315 Olmsted Avenue, St. Helena's in the Bronx, 5 o'clock, Sunday, February 17th. Be there.
Next question. Next caller.
Caller, yeah.
Wait, Saddam, how are you, brother? My main man.
I remember you. Hit me up, black man. I remember you. Call me. Take my number.
What I'll do,
call me.
I'll give you his number. You want to give it out on air?
Yeah, 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Shoot me a text. Especially Camden. Yeah. No doubt. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you, Brother Wasim. It's my man. He gave me a ride back from New York the other night. I was stuck. I was stranded. Next question. Caller. I keep saying question. Next call. That's it?
No, I got one more.
Okay, one more. You were the last one. You're with Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome to the show. Hello?
Caller, you there?
Okay, that's good. Don't worry about it. A lot of people have said negative things about you. They put out negative posts about you. You know, you were going on an ongoing battle with, I'm not going to mention his name, but it was an ongoing battle, man. And, people have been coming at your neck, about the money that was raised for the school. When is the school going to open? So you have the date selected that you're going to make this major announcement. And I think by, you saying that, you'll be able to put to bed and put to rest many of the naysayers that say that, because our people, man, and I was really hurt by a lot of the comments that our people, black people, were making about you personally. And I'm like, this is a personal friend of mine. And they were attacking you, brother. And I felt bad for the attacks. And, I'm happy that you stood your ground and you realized that the mission that you're on, it's bigger than who came on last night. And they said that you could perhaps do more to get your the men that follow you, that listen to you, that come to your lectures. You could give them more of a charge to go out into the streets to do more. Maybe you should talk about this more at your lectures. What thoughts do you have?
I'm already doing that in many respects. But I will say this, though. If there's anything that has held me back from being more aggressive with my agenda to liberate our people, it has been not having a home. And what I mean by not having a home, because the school is so central to my life and work, I needed to know where it was going to be before I could really dig in and start building up around it. You know what I mean? So now that we have the school, I can now start digging in and getting some of the things done that I wanted to get done. But the National Independent Black Parent Association, we've been rolling. Team Pan-African, we've been rolling. Even before Team Pan-African, I grew up in the UNIA. We've been rolling. So my whole life I've been about work. And I don't say this to be arrogant at all. But if you can name another black professional who is not attached to an existing institution, who has done more to save black children in America, not just Philly, in America, without money, free, I want to know their name. I want to know their name. Nobody has done more to educate black parents about the perils of special ed, ADHD, psychiatric med, IEP, learning disability, from a historical perspective. And Amos Wilson was the greatest black psychologist we ever had and the greatest black scholar. I want to make that clear. But let me say this. After Amos, but Amos wasn't a school psych. I'm a school psych, right? No psychologist in African-American history has done more to change the game as it relates to special ed and ADHD than Dr. Umar. Nobody living, nobody deceased.
I mean, they come after you. They come after your name. They come after your degree. They said your degree wasn't real, that you wasn't a real doctor. They said all kinds of things, man.
Well, listen, I was on Roland Martin and we dealt with that. And listen, I'm going to say it again. I don't like putting out the name of the school I graduated from. 2 reasons. I don't approve of them and they don't approve of me. So why mention them? You follow what I'm saying? Now, if I went to Howard or something, I'd be blessed. I'm HU. I went to a white school. Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Anybody can call the registrar's office to ask them if I graduated. I mean, it's not a hard thing to find out if the man got a degree. You pick up the phone, you call 215-871, I forget the last 4 digits, and just say, did Umar Johnson graduate from here? Why is that a conspiracy when one phone call will end it? It's because these Negroes ain't doing this because of the truth. They're doing it because of hatred. They're not after the facts, they after the hate. But February 14th, we shutting it all down. Black power.
Doing any lectures here in Philadelphia platform.
Yes.
I mean, you're traveling all over.
Yes. No. Listen, I owe Philly. But I gotta find a space. If somebody know of a space that can hold 300, I tried to. You got a space? Where? Where?
Offline, I'll tell you.
All right.
I got a space.
All right. Then we can do Philly then.
Yeah, right in South Philly.
Okay.
Right in South Philly, state of the art place. We good, man. You got to tell me when you want.
All right.
So give me a date, and we on it. Let everybody know how they can reach you, how they can contact you.
You want to take one more question or no?
The caller still there, Troy?
I still got a call. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to this call. Good evening, welcome to the show. You're the last caller of the night.
Call. They're there, but something wrong with their phone.
Something's wrong with your phone. 215-490-9832. 215-490-9832. You can be the last caller tonight with Dr. Umar. Go ahead. Talk to us.
Nope.
Well, I just want to say, man, it's definitely, you and I go back a long way. They there?
Yeah, we got another.
Okay, let's go to them.
Can you hear me, caller? Caller?
Don't worry about it. They have to inbox them. DM them.
There you go.
That's what they DM. That's what young people say. This show has been it's been lit. It's been fire, right? That's what the people say.
We're gonna do a part 2.
Wait a minute, what do we say, Kendall? Come here, Kendall.
What's the word? What's the word for something that's
You
hot?
just say anything. You ain't afraid of being my daughter. You better say it. What they say, baby?
Y'all can say lit.
Lit?
Say lit.
Okay,
All
when
right.
you're over, I was about to say 40.
Over 40.
When you're over 35, it's lit. Our guest has been Dr. Umar Johnson, and this was a long-awaited interview. Everybody knows that I've had him on Islam Today, but we wanted to have a platform where we didn't have to worry about religious, police, and scholars, Muslims and Christians critiquing what we said or what we played or some of his thoughts or some of my viewpoints. So we're so happy, and we got to do a part 2.
Of course. Let's do it next month, Black History Month, February or March. It's up to y'all.
Y'all hear that? Now, y'all my word. His word is bond, brother.
Yes, sir.
Word is bond. Word
You never
is
heard that?
bond. I heard it.
Word is bond. We say that all the time.
Yeah, my word is bond.
I got you.
Okay. It's been a really great show. I want to thank everybody who called in and everybody who tuned in on the TuneIn Radio app and everybody who tuned in via Facebook Live. Very great show.
Yes.
The last 2 minutes of the show, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yours.
You want to reach Dr. Umar, drumarjohnson.com. Also, 215-989-9858. Don't forget, February 14th, FDMGA announcement. February 17th, we're in the Boogie Down Bronx for the first time. St. Helena's Church, 1315 Olmsted Avenue, 5 o'clock. All children and elders is free. Everyone else, get your tickets. drumarjohnson.com. Coming at you one time. Good Garvey Day. Pan-Africanism or perish.
Now you see what I did for you. I took the Garvey picture
Oh,
from
you
out
showed
of
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yes,
A
sir.
month ago. You
You
see
gotta
that?
take up right there.
You see
gotta
that
take
picture?
Exactly.
But your main man. You
Yes, sir.
descendant of Garvey.
See, it
or
was Douglas.
Okay.
Not a descendant, a kinsman.
A kinsman.
Yes.
Explain that to people.
Okay, if you've ever read Frederick Douglass's narrative of the life, he talks about growing up on Tuckahoe Creek with cousin Steve.
Okay.
Cousin Stephen, his cousin,
Right.
Stephen, is my 4 times great-grandfather.
4 times.
4 times. Who's buried in Eastern Shore, Maryland. I go visit his grave every birthday, every summer, still there.
Today was Dr. King's, wasn't the original day,
Right.
but this is the day that
Yes, that they celebrated.
made.
Yes.
Celebrate.
33rd.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Dr. King was the most significant black leader from an integrationist perspective since Frederick Douglass. In many respects, Frederick Douglass fought for what? The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. But it was never guaranteed until 100 years later. That was 1865. But it took it took King 1965. The Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Bill to validate the work of Douglass 100 years ago.
Right.
So when I look at my work, I've got to validate King from 50 years ago and Garvey 100 years ago. You feel me?
Now, what about Malcolm, man? How come they overlook Malcolm?
I don't overlook Malcolm, but I think one of the reasons Malcolm gets overlooked because unfortunately he was never allowed to do the work he was sent here to do. If had Malcolm been allowed to live, he may have been one of the greatest in terms of actual accomplishment because whereas King was local and practical, Malcolm was visionary and international. Malcolm was going to finish Garvey's work the way King finished
Now,
Douglas.
I want to close on this. The man, in my humble opinion, that has been written out of black history, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
I don't know. Let me tell you why I say that. Most history books that I look in,
Right.
he's in them. Garvey not, but Mr. Muhammad is in them. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That doesn't mean he's getting his just due though.
I don't think Elijah Muhammad's getting his just due.
He may not be getting his just due. He may not be getting his just due, but he made it in. He's in there.
Okay.
He's in there.
Okay. Real quick before we go, tell everybody how they can get in contact with one
215-989-9858 or the 800 number 844-4 Dr. Umar. That's 844-4 DRUMAR. February 14th, February 17th, Bronx, New York. I'm coming. Boogie down, Bronx.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Wait, where you going to be at next?
The Bronx is my next joint.
That's your next joint.
Yeah. Sunday, February 17th, 5 o'clock, St. Helena's Church, 1315 Olmsted Avenue in the Bronx. First time in the Bronx.
Yes, sir.
I'm normally Brooklyn and Harlem, so this is my first time in the
Well,
Bronx.
thank you, brother. I thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I enjoyed it.
Great show.
And shout out to the Queen and the Princess in the building. You know what I mean? We support the Queens. Yes.
Everybody have a great week, and we will see you next week, God willing. Peace.
That was a good one.
Great show.
I need the link on that. When you get it, text it to me so I can post it.
Send it to you, man.
I did it on my Instagram. I'm glad I did. I had like 1,000 people at one time.
I'm framing this right here.
Oh, man.
He got the fire.
Fire. I was like, fire.
Yes, sir. But Amos was the greatest.
Is that the one you mention all the time?
Oh, you got to read Amos. Go on YouTube, type in Amos Wilson.
All the time.
And you got to read all his
What's
books.
the name of that book, that woman you told me to check
Francis
out?
Cress Welston, ISIS Papers.
Wilson, that's the woman right there.
Yeah.
That was
For
my
the queens, it's her. For the kings, it's
That's why I
Amos.
was like-
But overall, Amos was untouchable.
Yes.
Amos was untouchable.
Untouched.
Ahead of his time.
Ahead of him because he a man.
No. Amos Wilson was the greatest black scholar we produced the second half. Listen, no, Dr. Wilson was the queen.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong now. She's the queen of black psychiatry. I'm the king of black psychology. And Amos was just the greatest of all
I'm
time.
the queen of social work.
There you go. My Instagram crowd. Shout out to all y'all.
Yeah, shout out.
February 14th, we shutting them haters up one time.
Fire.
You need haters because you need haters.
You need that motivation.
Don't shut your haters.
I agree with you.
You need
They
your
keep
haters.
you focused. They keep you focused.
Don't never shut your haters. Is why you here.
Come on, you get your solo
No, we
picture.
don't.
No, everybody.
You want to take it outside or
I
in
want you
here?
to get your
No,
solo
he want
picture.
that picture.
You too, though.
Get your solo picture, then we'll take a group picture.